Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with a new series where I'm going to be reviewing hands with one of my students, James. James came to me, he was playing PokerStars. I encouraged him to move away from PokerStars and game select slightly better. He moved to Party Poker and Sky, and the hands that we're reviewing today are from Party Poker because obviously there's no way of capturing hands on Sky to review them, or no way that's like aesthetically pleasing at least. So we're going to be reviewing some of James's hands from Party Poker. I think they're all 5-L coming up, so hopefully you guys, it'll be something that you guys are playing yourself. 2-L, 5-L, 10-L players will find this very useful, I hope. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you're a regular subscriber, you like a regular viewer, you like my content, please do hit the thumbs up. And please do get involved with the comments. We're going to be reviewing 6 to 8 hands, I think. Not entirely sure yet. We're going to be reviewing 6 to 8 hands, and hopefully every one of them is going to create some sort of talking point, give you guys something to think about, give James and I something to talk about, and hopefully we can all get plenty from it. I want to get lots of likes and comments. Hopefully you guys get some idea of maybe some mistakes you're making, or maybe you're going to look at some things and think, oh, I never thought of it that way, or whatever. Hopefully you get something from it. Please let me know if you do, and let me know what you think of the format. I think it's going to be a nice format. You guys asked for some videos of me working with other players, so this is what we're going to do. James and I are going to do at least 6 videos of this, but if they're popular, who knows, we might just keep doing shit tons more. The more likes they get, the more views they get, the more likely it's going to be that we're going to make tons of them. I plan on making at least 6. Who knows, we might make 60 if they go down well. So we're back in just a moment with the first hand with James, and hope you guys enjoy it. So you have this, we have this Jack 10 here, yep.
Yeah, seems a bit of standard open, small free bet, so I feel like I was getting the right sort of odds just to call.
Is that 9 blinds, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not dead small, is it? But yeah, I wouldn't fold this hand. And you kind of want to know that your opponent's a little bit aggressive though, because the problem with this hand is if he is just using just exclusively high cards and big pairs, we're kind of got some issues when we flop like top pair, haven't we, in terms of like paying off too much. So we kind of have to be careful that we're not really looking to flop one pair. I mean, obviously if we flop one pair, we're going to maybe look to try and call a couple of bets, but we're not looking to go nuts with one pair. We're kind of hoping for 2 pair plus, aren't we? Or maybe he checks a little bit and gives us a chance to sometimes steal. But I guess we don't know enough about him to know his post-flop tendencies. We've only got 50 hands. Is that 49 hands?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we're kind of winging it a little bit, but yeah, I wouldn't fold either.
So we get to flop here. I've written some notes just to make it easy.
Okay.
So villain goes heads and C bets around about a 3rd pot. And I choose to float with this hand.
Again, I think it's a good plan if we know. If you know, for example, there's tons of players I've seen who've got like 80% flop C bets and 25% turn barrels. It's a great spot to do it against a player like that because, like you say, with our backdoor equity in 2 overs. I think it's a good time to try it. Problem is, if this guy double barrels a lot, then this float's nowhere near as good because we're not going to do very much on turn. So I'd like to know he had a low turn barrel, but we don't know anything about him, of course, and it is a pretty small C-bet. So again, I would call here, but it's going to be way more effective against people with high C-bets, low turn barrels, than it is just against some random guy who we have no idea what his barreling frequency is or how he generally sizes his bets up. We're kind of fumbling around in the dark a little bit, but again, I don't think we can fold just yet.
Is this the right sort of hand you should be floating with then, or would you basically be using like your club draws and stuff like that?
I'd float with them too. If I had Jack 10 of clubs here, I'd do exactly the same thing. I wouldn't raise, I would just call. On these paired boards, I don't really have much of a raising range in 3-bet pots. Because either someone's just stabbing with air and they're going to fold, or they're going to have like a pretty strong hand and they're not going to fold. This might just be his standard size with either complete air balls, pocket aces, 9s full, who knows. But on these paired boards, I don't really have raising range in 3-bet pots anyway. But I would just call with pretty much all of my range here.
Cool.
And then we hit the pair on the turn.
Yeah.
He checks.
Quite a bit of air, it seems, his range.
Yeah, it looks pretty weak now, to be fair. He's done the small C bet, which is pretty standard in general, but you know, for him it might not be. He might have like loads of different sizings. He might have sizing tells come out of zeros. Again, we don't know because he's an unknown. But given he's like checked and then bet small, I think it's a spot where I'd probably bet around 60 and then just look to check back a lot of rivers, I think.
Yeah.
And to protect my hand if it needs protecting, because sometimes I still get value from some gut shots from just people just unwilling to fold ace, king, ace, queen, that type of thing. So I'd bet smallish, looking to check back a ton of rivers, unless I improved again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. There's not that much to protect against, because you'd imagine most players would continue barreling flush draws.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he is just giving up with ace, queen, ace, king, just any two random overcard combination, ace, jack or whatever, even though we've got that crush now, it's nice just to get people to fold their equity if they have pieces of equity. I guess we could think about checking, but no, I much prefer betting. I think it's better overall that we pretty much, when people like bet small flop, check turns, I think it's important to be encouraged to do a lot of betting, which is why we're going to do it with small sizes. I'd bet a lot of my random floats there too. If we hadn't improved to the 10, just say that 10 was some kind of offsuit deuce and he checked, I'd make exactly the same bet. I'd make it a bit smaller than you, but I'd do exactly the same thing. I still think your sizing is fine, by the way. It's less than half pot, which I like. I'd do exactly the same as you with my floats I haven't improved. So if we're going to do it with our floats I haven't improved, we may as well do it when we actually improve too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Cool. So second in here. I think these are all going to be at 5 now.
Okie dokie.
This one. 3 min raisers, I like to call.
Yep, I like that. What would you do versus a 3x there? Would you call or would you 3-bet versus 3x?
Generally my 3-betting range against that was suited aces, ace deuce to ace 5 at 3-bet, and then your bigger aces are 3-bet as well, and the ones in between just flat.
But we're
like
flat. But we're flatting like a lot wider versus just min raises.
Yeah.
I like that. Good stuff. You bets.
Yeah. Seems a bit simple call. On the turn, get a flush draw. Seems a bit simple call as well. Don't see any point raising.
There's not an awful lot of point in raising.
Yeah. And then he bets.
Right. I think I could be persuaded to fold here because he shouldn't have too many draws in his range. The flop's super dry. Yeah. The turn, we've got some clubs, so it's unlikely he's like just barreling a picked up draw. We don't block many of the picked up draws. I mean, but because a lot of his draws are going to be like middle suited connector type cards. But then the Queen 10 gets there on the end. I think we could just fold this one. If we had a slightly better kicker, it'd be much more difficult. But personally, I would let this one go. It's like it's kind of right at the top of my folding range, I think, because I don't like letting go of like one pair type hands too often. In like the top pairs in button versus big blind situations. But I think he's going to check back a lot of stuff here. If he's the sort of player who's betting twice with, say, Queen Jack or King Queen for whatever reason, and they shouldn't do it, but players do. I don't think he's going to be like thin value betting a worse hand here, and I just don't see there's too many draws he can have. Because like the main draw, he could have had like the Jack 10. That's now just got there. So I don't think he's going to have too many bluffs, and I don't think he's going to be value betting worse. So for that reason, versus this size, I'd make a tight fold. If he'd have bet something like 40, we'd have been forced to pay him off, I think.
Yeah.
But
this is mainly just because of what we were talking about with the last lesson about folding, getting to the point where you're folding your entire range. Because obviously we've got top pair, so that's what the reason why I thought I'd put this one in, just to make sure.
Yeah, well, we could have hands like Queen Jack, King Queen, something that would call twice here. And I think we could even maybe conceivably have some 9x that might want to do this too. And not many, I don't think. I can't think of too much 9x. But like ace, it's close to the top of our range for folding. But I think we've had other hands that have called twice that we can fold here too. And the hands we can call down with are going to be stuff like 9-8 that's improved. Ace-8 that's improved. We can have Ace-3 and play it pretty much the same way. Queen-9. We're going to have lots of hands that we're not going to have raised that can call here. Yes, I think we can have some like two pairs that we decided not to raise that want to call. We have some slightly better aces that might want to call. Now we don't always 3-bet Ace-10 in this situation, and I wouldn't be looking to fold Ace-10, I don't think, even though it's not that much different to Ace-4. I wouldn't be looking to fold ace-10 because I think that's just slightly too high up. But yeah, we are in danger of folding too many hands here with it when we're folding ace-4. But in these games versus unknowns who are triple barreling on relatively dry boards, I think if we are going to lead to like either calling too much or folding too much, I much prefer leading to folding too much than do calling too much.
Yeah, cool.
So I don't hate that.
I'll just quickly hide all there now.
Yeah, we don't need to know their cards, do we? Which shame we do now, but never mind. I'll try to play fair still.
Yeah. So we are swing pre-flop. He checks to us. I go ahead and bet with backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, and 2 overcards.
Yeah, what would you have done if you had the black ace king here?
Probably just checked it back.
Yeah, I think I don't mind that. Because against these type of players who limp and call, we're not going to get too many folds on these kind of innocuous boards, unless they've just got complete air balls. I mean, obviously, if he's got like 8-7 or something like that, he's probably going to fold that sort of stuff. But who knows? I mean, these guys just don't like to click the fold, but they like to see cards.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect this guy to be folding any pair. 6-5, he's not going to fold any kind of like straight draw that he can have. And he can have some because he's playing like 50% of his hands, albeit again on a small sample. But when it comes to sample sizes, the VPIP and PFR converges quickly enough where when someone's playing 50% of hands over 35, you can make a reasonable assumption that they're way too loose. But yeah, as you say, with the back doors and the 2 overs, I think I'd see bet this too. I wouldn't
reason, then,
sorry, go on. Oh, go on, mate.
For that reason, is the smaller sizing better than, even though it is against a fish? Because one thing I did consider at the time was betting bigger, because against a fish, actually for value with this sort of hand, because we can get floated quite wide on the flop.
If you want to bet for value, if you think he's really bad enough to bet for value, then yeah, maybe go a little bit bigger. But I mean, I think it's a push to say we're value betting here, because we've still got 2 more streets to negotiate. And I like this sizing because we're not trying to make him fold anything good. We're not trying to make him fold a pair here. We're not trying to make him fold a draw. We're just trying to get him, if he's got a hand like 8-7, we're just trying to make him fold his equity. So yeah, I like this sizing. And it allows us to like bet some decent turns or like cheap barrels too. Like any red one we're going to barrel. Any picture card we're going to barrel, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, it gives us a chance to like make a small turn barrel and then decide whether we want to like absolutely blast the river or not. So yeah, I like this size. It keeps all our options open to us. And that will just fold,
right?
Personally, because even if he is fucking around with us, it's like not just calling this bet. It's like what comes next. We've got like 12.5% chance of hitting an ace or a king on the turn, which may or may not be good for us. Then we got like a little bit of extra equity if we can flop turn like a heart or a gut shot or something, I guess. But then when someone like limps in and check raise me on this board, and I've got such it's a nice hand, it's a pretty hand, but in terms of what's happened in the hand, it's garbage. I would just fold here and not worry too much about it. And I would just put a note on the guy that he limp calls and like check raises dry boards. So therefore, I wouldn't be stabbing anywhere near as much versus him going forward. That would be my learning from this hand.
So he's looking to check behind a lot more, really.
Against him in future, yeah. But I would also be looking to make small value bets from a bigger hands too, because maybe the small bets triggered him. So if I had a set of 10s here, I would be looking to like bet like anything between 1/3 40% pot, just in case the small bet size is a trigger for this action.
We do decide to call.
Okay, well it'd be no fun if you folded, would it? You would have put the hand in if you folded. So we hit the 9, which is improved our equity, but probably not going to slow him down much.
No. At this point, I don't think we can fold, given what the turn card was.
It's just a pure mass problem now. We have like 20% equity. We only need to cut that. We need 24%. And if our ace or our king's good, so yeah, given we've called the flop, we have to call now. Not much choice we can. I think jamming would be horrific because I don't think we have an awful lot of fold equity unless he's just completely airballing. So yeah, just calling here is the only play really.
Cool.
And then we just have to fold it. Right, so he now checks.
Yeah. So do we go ahead and try and bluff against
good question.
It's what sort of thing is he repping that checks back the river?
Well, the problem is he might just be the sort of player who's just like check raise 10x, bet the turn, and he's now bluff catching, which should be a major issue if he is, because we're going to play right into his hands.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get him to fold a 10. I really don't on this run out. We've got like a pot size bet left. I would still personally just give up. There's some players here I would think, you know what, we can go for it here and just like maybe try and get them to fold. If they had a hand like, I don't know, fucking 4x, pocket sevens, 4x, something worse than a 10. They've like check raised and bet again for who knows what reason. No logical reason, but we all see these guys doing weird things for no reason. So I thought he had enough like worse than 10x in his range that was beating ace king. Then yeah, I would think about going for it, but against this guy, I'm just going to stick to the plan. We took our pot odds on the turn. We didn't get there. I would just give up. And then again, we get to see his cards and we get to have a better strategy against him going forward. This is a problem with playing against unknowns. We don't really know what to do in these situations. But the second time it happens, if we take a good note, then we've got a much better idea about how to play these situations against him. So I personally would just give up here. But I wouldn't blame you for just going for it.
Yeah. No, I decided to give up, to be honest. I couldn't work out what he was trying to do, so I just literally...
I wouldn't be surprised to see him turn up with like Queen 10 here or 10, 9, 10, who knows what. And expecting to turn up with a lot of 10x.
Yeah.
Just for the people watching, because people like results, what did he show up with, sir, please? Ace 8. Wow, so he's like bluffed and got there. It's fair to say your bluff wasn't going to work, sir.
Yeah.
He's checked that. He hasn't checked that river to fold.
Fold, no.
So no, that one turned out. Did you take a note on that afterwards about this player?
That's what I got. So I got him limp calling ace 8 off.
Tell you what, I totally forgot he had ace 8 off at the start of the hand. I don't know why I showed the result. It completely slipped my mind. So yeah, as long as we got the note that he's like limp calls and check raises bullshit. Because we can stick around, we can hero call him with a lot of stuff now. We can certainly call his triple barrels more because he's going to be way more polarised on his triple barrels. Overall, it's an interesting hand.
Yeah, I think that one might be from a separate hand. So
yeah.
Ignore the one.
Yeah.
Go ahead and open it from a normal size. Get 3-bet here.
I think I would just fold right now, I think.
Yeah.
Out of position against an 18-14, he's only 3-betting. Is that 5% 3-bet?
5% 3-bet, yeah.
I would just fold right now. Playing King-Queen off out of position versus a tight player's 3-bet is not my idea of fun. And it's not my idea of how to make money either.
Yeah.
I would just make it's irritating. If you had a higher 3-bet and he was a bit more loose aggressive, you say this guy was like, I don't know, a 28, 23 with a 13% 3-bet over a good sample size, we could maybe think about using this hand to 4-bet bluff with. But again, all we know is that we've got a reasonable sample on him and he's pretty tight aggressive. So I would just fold here and move on. But I'm guessing that's not what you're going to do.
No, I like to go for the aggressive.
Well, I don't mind that. It's better than calling. If you called, I'd have been like thinking that's like the worst play of them all. But yeah, I think this is the second option. If we don't want to fold, this is a good second best choice. Excuse me. I just don't like it versus an almost 10x.
This player type, yeah.
Versus someone who doesn't look like they're out of line.
Yeah.
And then we completely brick.
Yeah.
The problem is with this being a 4-bet pot now, it's super bloated. It's one of those situations where we can think about just trying to see bet like 1/3 pot, like anything between 75 to $1. And just hope he fucks off, basically. I mean, if he's got a hand like Ace Queen, Ace King, stuff like that, he might just fold it to a 1/3 pot C-bet. I guess, given the fact with 4-bet, I'd feel obliged to C-bet here and just hope that he just folds an absolute ton of his range, because he shouldn't have too many sets in his range. He's not going to 3-bet call pocket 7s or 4s very much, given his stats. I mean, he might. We can never say never, but it seems unlikely. I think his range is going to be a lot of pocket jacks, pocket queens, Ace King, Ace Queen suited. Now, obviously, jacks and queens aren't folding, but if he's got enough Ace King and Ace Queen in his range, we can make fold, even though we block both of those. I think we still have to I feel obliged to just go for a small C-bet here and then just give up, I think. Yep, I like that. and now I'm just done with it. I'm completely done. Yeah, there's nothing much you can do. He just looks all over like pocket jacks, pocket queens, maybe even, you know, if he's any good, he could just have, like, you can just flat aces and kings in position as well, and just trap you that way. I'm just completely giving up at this point.
I decided not to give up.
You decided not to give up.
Yeah.
No problem.
Close enough. So basically, this is the sort of the wrong play type really to be trying to go for.
Yeah, it just looks too solid pre-flop, and it's like middle position versus cut-off, so there's no real good reason for suggesting he's getting out of line. If it was like cut-off versus button or button versus small blind, his range is going to be a little bit wider, you would imagine. But he just doesn't look like the sort of player who's sitting there getting out of line very often. So therefore, if we start trying to re-get out of, I know there's a lot of guys who say just fucking punish these players, 3-bet them, 4-bet them a lot, 3-bet, C-bet a lot. Against these exact players, I don't think it works as well as people want to think it does, because the ranges are just too solid. They've just got too much good stuff in the ranges. I mean, wow, I think that's a rather impressive call-off by him, to be completely honest. And again, that's something I would very much note, that he just flats 4-bets in position with ace-king, which I don't mind that bit, but then not folding it to 2 barrels post-flop unimproved. I'm not sure if that's mightily impressive or if that's mightily stationary. I'm undecided.
I think
depends
it's got a lot to do with he develops a flush draw on the turn.
Yeah, I guess he probably thinks he needs to call it off. Yeah, I think that probably works against him if the turn's like a red 3. I guess it probably works against him. But yeah, I think I would just mean, if he's calling us off with ace high, then our line's obviously really horrible against this player type. But generally speaking, against a typical 18-14 with a 5-3 bet, I wouldn't have 4-bet pre, but as played, I would have just given up on the turn, I think.
Give up on the turn.
Here we go, so we have Jack Queen.
Yep. The next top pair seems a pretty simple bet.
I would have bet slightly bigger, I think, out of position, but no issue with it. It's at least we got the C bet in. I think on these like dry boards, we can generally go with smaller bets.
Yeah.
I don't like doing it as much out of position as I do in position. I think if this was in position, I'd like the C bet size much more.
Yeah.
Out of position, I think I prefer just to make it a bit bigger, but that's just a personal tasting more than anything else. But yep.
Cool.
Bet call. We continue barreling. I'd like to see us go about 30 here.
Yeah.
Near enough.
On the flop, what sort of size would you be looking at make it then out of position? I think mine's set to about 40% as standard, so that's what mine was then.
Yeah, I think when I'm playing on like PokerStars and Triple Eight, and when they have like my predefined bets buttons, in position there, I think I would have 40%ed. Out of position, I think I would have 60%ed.
60%.
And there's not really, that's just like a personal tasting. I'm not pretending there's any like super great maths behind that, because there's none. I just prefer betting slightly bigger out of position, because I'm happier just picking it up straight away rather than like being floated and then putting tough spots on later streets. I mean, I don't mind that. I mean, of course, if we just bet and take it, then we just made it fold a better hand, of course. And somebody just made it fold a worse hand. But sometimes when we're out of position with a hand that's like strongish, but it's not the sort of hand I really see myself getting 3 streets from too often. I don't mind just ending the hand early sometimes. So he raises the turn. And we've got literally no evidence. We've got no stats in him whatsoever.
No.
I mean, the 2 doesn't complete anything, really. It completes his pocket 2's floats. It brings about some draws, I guess. If he's like got 6-5 of clubs, I guess he could be. He could think, fuck it, I'm just raising this.
Yeah.
We don't block clubs, which is nice. I still don't like it though, because I hate just calling here without any plan other than like check fold river. This is my issue with this situation.
Yeah.
Again, if we're in position, we get check raise. I think we can call and see what he does on the river, but we don't get that luxury here really, because we're going to call and check to him on the river, and he's probably going to fucking blast into us and put us in some really tough spots. I think I just fold here again. It's very much like the old-fashioned beluga theorem, which might be slightly outdated now, but probably not that outdated in the micro stakes, which is if we get raised on the turn and we only have a one-pair hand, we should strongly consider folding. I think this is one of those situations where, yeah, sometimes he just gets to win with the bluff, but given that I don't really want to check call rivers in what's going to be a very bloated pot by then, because by the time we put our extra 50 cents, it's going to be like $2.20 something in the pot, and I don't envisage myself calling like a 30 big blind river bet. So I personally, again, and I am sometimes criticised for this, but I'll take the nitty side here. I hate paying off in these games. We're not just paying off this bet, it's like we're going to be faced with a river bet we may or may not pay off. Imagine like we call and the river's like an offsuit 9. Then it's going to be shit. It's going to be really tough spot. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to be able to play the river very well. So I just like divert to old school beluga theorem here and just fold my hand. And if he's like picked up clubs on the floor and just bluffed us, then more power to him. We're going to be doing similar things to other players when we're in position versus them. So as long as we're like reciprocating, not against him but against the field in general, by bluff raising some turns and things, then I don't have a big issue with it. If we're always folding here and we're never making moves ourselves, then I think we have a two-way issue. But I think if we're making some tight folds here and also doing similar things ourselves to players when we're in position, I don't think it's such a big deal. So I would personally just fold here, basically because I expect a river barrel to come in and I'm not sure what I'd do versus it. So you could make the argument call here and call down on all non-clubs or all non-like 6s, 5s, 3s, stuff like that. But there's a shit ton of the deck you can just barrel on. You can barrel an ace, king that we hate. You can barrel a club. You can barrel pretty much any card from a 3 up to an 8. And we just hate life. So there's not that many good cards for us. I would just fold now.
Yeah. So what I've got here is most of our hand is raising like a flush draw, 6-5 suited, but that means he's got to float the flop with just 2 clubs in his hand to get to that point.
Yeah, to turn just a flush draw, I think it could, of course, it could happen if he has a hand like King, Queen of clubs, Ace, 10 of clubs. Like, there's lots of ways you can have clubs that just float the flop, but big deal.
I don't think you see it that much at this stakes, to be honest, floating really at.
No, if you don't think you see, if you play these stakes well now, if you don't think people are just randomly floating 2 clubs here, then it makes it even worse because it means he doesn't have many semi-bluffs in his range.
Yeah.
And he can absolutely have, you can't have a set of jacks very often, of course, but you can absolutely have just like flatted 7s and 4s on the floor, like sets of 7s and 4s. You could absolutely have floated pocket 2s and turned a set of 2s. I think his most likely hand is going to be either like a set or air if you think he doesn't have bluffs, which isn't the worst range to call down against, but what air does he have? Because air needs to have floated the flop too. So if you don't think there's much light floating going on in these flops, then folding this turn makes an absolute ton of sense.
Yeah.
But we don't.
And then he decides not to go for it on the river, but if he bombs it $2 here, I'm not quite sure. I'll put here, I was prepared to call most rivers being like non-clubs.
I think that if you're gonna, the offsuit 2 is one of the best rivers to call because it it reduces combos of 2s at least. You know, it reduces some of his value combos that raise the turn. Not many, but it does take a couple away. But again, the still question will still remain: what air does he have? And it might well be that he turns up with some air here to confound what we've talked about, but we're talking about the player pool in general and not Dr. Vo 1980 specifically. The player pool in general here, when they call this flop and raise his turn, are going to have Jack Queen in a lot of trouble a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And he might be the guy that just like raises Jack 10 on the turn or Jack 9 on the turn so he can specifically check back rivers. Who knows? But I would have folded, you've called, hopefully it goes check and we win. And we have an interesting talking point. And yeah, that's just random. And again, you wouldn't expect that. It's not something... I'd imagine all the guys watching this video would not have thought, fuck it, this guy has a hand like ace-8 off that's floated and now bluffing. So, yeah, it confounds everything I've said, but I still think versus the population, what I've said isn't too wildly out of line.
Yeah. Opening it 1 call. We go ahead and make a small c bet.
Yep, I like it.
Board, and then he min check raises.
we can't fold, but obviously I'm already preparing to fold, but I'm not folding yet.
Right.
It's going to be a common theme from me in these videos.
Yeah.
If we face aggression in the micro stakes, I fold a lot, especially against a 25-6. I don't hate you fold there. I think I'd feel really obliged to take one off, just because it's a min raise. If we made it slightly bigger, I'd fold, no problem. Against a 25-6, check min raising. I have no idea what he's doing. I'll be honest with you, because he's clearly not a good player. He's not utterly terrible because he's only playing 25% of hands. So it's not like he's a screaming whale. He's just like a really like bad weakish type of player. So when bad weakish players check min raise, I start to get anxious, but I don't think I could fold that hand to it. But I don't blame you for doing it, because unless we hit a diamond or an ace on the turn, there's not many ways we can continue. So I don't hate it. I think it's a little bit weak, but if we're going to fold to check raises, then against this type of player is probably the player to do it against, because 25/6, they're some of the least likely candidates to be fucking around with raising ranges.
Yeah. What sort of range would you put him on that you'd reckon it's absolute strength, like sets, and you're just trying to milk us for a little bit?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just has a hand like 9-8 suited there and does it. Things like that, just stuff that he's like trying to protect. He's not doing a good job of protecting it because of his sizing, but either stuff that he's trying to protect, or sometimes he might have pocket sixes and just be trying to find out where he's at. Who knows? It's impossible to say, because I've worked with so many people now who when we've been reviewing hands with them, they made bad raises for such a wide variety of reasons. They're trying to bluff, they're trying to like get thin value, they're trying to find out where they're at. Who knows? People have different reasons for making bad raises. It's impossible to speculate without knowing more about him. But I'd say his range could be anything from ace-3, trying to find out where it's at, pocket sixes, trying to find out where it's at, 9-8, doing who knows what, value betting, protecting. Could just be king queen fucking around. Who knows? Genuinely, it's too hard to say. But we can tell he's not a good player because he's got poor stats and he's check min raised that board on the flop. No good player does either of those things. So with him being a bad player, it's much harder to like try and assign a range to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Seems standard so far. Small bet position. And then he raises.
No. I just think the question is. I mean, folding's out of the question. The question is just, do we call or 3-bet? And again, because we know jack shit about the player, then calling seems a fine option to me. I wouldn't have blamed you for 3-betting either. I wouldn't mind either, but I think I probably prefer just calling to keep those bluffs in, keep his thinner value. If he's like check raising pocket 8s here, for example, we don't want to blow him off it. So I like the call. Call again.
And then he checks to us. Should we be making a thin?
Yeah, I'd thin value bet here, I think. If he does have pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket 8s, I don't think we're going to get check raise a lot. And it's a problem. If it's a nightmare. If we bet like 60 cents here and we get check raise, it's a fucking disaster. But because we're going to have to fold. But at the same time, I think checking back here would be slightly too weak. It's kind of thin, but it's not so thin we shouldn't do it. So I'd bet like 60 cents here and just like shut my eyes and pray. Well, I wouldn't pray, but I would really like wring my hands like, don't raise, don't raise. I'd be doing me don't raise dance. But I think we need to bet here. It's too weak to not bet.
I'll go ahead and just check behind.
Okay. I think it's just a problem because he's always going to pay us off with pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s when we bet smalling off. He's not going to turn those into a bluff and check call. So we check raise them. And I don't see any many other check raises he can have. I don't see why.
I'm slightly scared of, because on check raising the flop, he's obviously got sort of things like deuces and 4s in his range. So.
But why wouldn't he just bet that river?
Yeah,
with those hands.
That's the bit that threw me, to be honest.
I think the only thing that he might have that checks, if he's like the sort of player who's got like massive monster under the bed syndrome, is if he's got like a 7 and he doesn't want to get raised with the flush card getting there. Just say he's got to have like 8-7 or something like 10-7, 9-7. Maybe then he's thinking, I don't want to get raised here, but if he is that sort of like weak player, he's not going to raise us. I don't see many situations where we get raised here unless our opponent has a flush or better. So I just go ahead and value bet and pretty confidently fold to a raise, I think.
Yeah. I think, yeah, exactly what you said earlier.
It's
probably a hand that we can get value from.
Yeah, I don't think he's played that hand particularly well, to be honest with you. I think his check raising the flop's ambitious, his turn barrel's ambitious, and he is almost certainly going to check call when you bet 1/3 pot river. So I don't like the way he's played it. I think to go in that Doug Polk world of the post flop game plan, I think his hands are super standard, like check call 2 streets, evaluate river. It's a slammed. He's effectively had a category 2 hand there, and he's God knows what he's done with it. He's turned it into like the thinnest category 1 ever. Because he can't be category 3 in it because he's obviously got a hand. He's not semi bluffing, so he's just turned a category 2 hand into a super slim category 1 hand, which I don't like doing, and we shouldn't be doing it either. But if he does it, good for him. But yeah, I would definitely put a note on this guy too that he like check raises weak over pairs, and just that you don't necessarily have to do it now. But I would say the note there is check raise and barrel weak over pairs, bluff catcher river. That would be, we don't know his bluff catching for sure, but we know he's like taking a type of bluff catching line. So that'd be the kind of note I'd put on him. So therefore we don't make too many mistakes by overfolding against his check raises.
Do you want to leave it there? About 6 or 7.
Yeah, we'll do one more and take us to about 35-40 minutes.
So we open, get called by hijack.
Right, so we've got some stats on this guy. What's his fold to c-bet?
50%.
50%.
Yeah. Oh no, that's c-bet in free pot. I've just moved these around lately. It's that one there, sorry. That one. 63.
In that case, I would c-bet versus this guy. I mean, he's going to float slightly more in position, but it's a pretty dry board. I expect our c-bet to get a ton of respect. I'd c-bet anything 15 to 20, I think. Yep, no issue with that. Calls. And my plan is barrel any turn that improves my equity or my hand. So if we hit a 10, if we hit a spade, if we hit an ace, I would continue barreling here. I would probably bet. Because his range at the minute, it could still be tons of stuff. Pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 9s, stuff like that. So I'd barrel here pretty small. Probably like 25 to 30 at the most, I think.
I go.
Right. Why have we done that? That's unlike you. That's completely took me by surprise.
What I thought, because he's in the hijack, so he's got quite a strong range against us calling pre-flop.
Yeah.
And that's likely going to be a lot of medium to high pocket pairs. So on the flop, I don't think many people in this playable float with like your ace-high flop, ace-high cards. There's not a lot of back doors that can have either.
Okay.
So I figured he's most likely gonna. This is a card that I barrel on all the time. So I'm gonna put stuff like pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket tens. If I bet big here, means I can bet a lot of my bluffs. And if he's folding here with those sort of hands, he's almost folding his entire range. So something that we were working on in the last lesson, I've kind of reversed it.
It's unlikely that you have 8-7 here very often because we're under the gun. But like, this is what I'm trying to say is that we don't have like many bluffs here. What if you had pocket queens here?
Yeah, I'll probably be looking to check.
I think it's like really hard to like. I don't like it because we're going to get an absolute shit ton of fours, which is nice when we're bluffing, but we don't have very many natural bluffs on this board because it's so dry on the flop. Excuse me. And we don't open like 8-7 pre, we don't open 9-7 pre, so we don't have like any straight draws or gut shots and things.
Yeah.
So therefore, I mean, if we were doing this with a draw, I would like it, but we're not going to have very many draws at all in this situation. And I think we're just going to get way too many folds. And obviously, when we do get called, we're fucked. Because there's not a chance. There's not a million years ace 10. If we get called here, ace 10's screwed. He's either got 6-7 or something like that, or he's got 5s full, or quad 6s, something like that. So yeah, I kind of see where you're going with it, but it's I think
kind of the wrong hand to do it with.
Yeah, when you wrong hand, wrong
And
board
the wrong
texture.
Yeah.
So I would like if this, I don't know, if this was say cut off versus button, and we had a shit ton of like 8-7, 9-7, stuff like that in our range, gut shots and straight draws and things, I would be massively more on board with it. Or if we had like I don't know, a hand like 9-7 of spades, where we genuinely like picked up a bit of fold equity with a hand we could conceivably barrel, and then pick up fold equity. I would like it a lot, but our under the gun range doesn't have any straight draws in it, or shouldn't have any straight draws in it. So therefore, we have no bluffs, or we have very, very few bluffs apart from some complete airballs.
Yeah.
So on that score, I think we're going to get this guy's going to overfold a ton here, but when he doesn't, we're screwed. And I don't mind you trying these things. I actually like people trying these things because it leads to good discussion points, and I like the fact you are trying to overbet. But I think overbetting here, I think doing it with pocket fives or something would be great.
Yeah.
Because then we can get some action. But doing it with a hand like ace 10, I'm not on board with.
Yeah, it's kind of too weak of a hand and the wrong sort of texture to
Yeah, I think this is just sort of spot where we're just like double barrel my normal sizing. Because now it's like, what the fuck are we going to do on this river? With as I said, we're just over a pot size bet. And, well, now it's an easy decision.
Yeah,
what
that's one of the questions I was asked, is like, the river makes it a bit of an easy decision, but if this is just a blank card, is this hand just become a check call at this point?
Extrapolating on our, if we're bluffing, 8-7 would be a jam, because I guess now we can certainly make pocket fives fold all the time, or we should be able to, and maybe, just maybe, we get 6x to fold. I mean, Zebo's theorem, Christ, I'm going through the old-fashioned theorems today, but Zebo's theorem, which is like people that never fold full houses, would say he won't fold a 6, but I think we could get people off 6s here with a jam, if we had any bluffs in our range, or if we were bluffing. But again, I mean, if we did have the 8-7 of spades here, I would say fuck it, go for it now, because you might get pocket fives or 6x to fold. So yeah, I would say we need to continue with our bluffs in this spot, and if we are going to continue with our bluffs, then we need to shove our full house too.
Yeah.
And we just hope we don't run into quads, I guess.
I don't remember what he had, to be honest. Yeah, so he had the nuts on the flop.
Yeah, I mean, I think his call is pretty damn ambitious, because he's like, he needs to put some bluffs in our range to do this. And the problem is, because we're under the gun, we don't have many bluffs in our range.
Yeah.
And that's my issue from his perspective. He's got very unlucky, of course. He's actually like drawing almost dead, and you've got there. So he's got super, super unlucky. But on that run out, given we overbet turn and shove river, I think he should be able to fold that hand. But maybe I'm just the world's biggest nit. Who knows? Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll call it a day on the hands there. Yep. We'll continue reviewing hands for you, but in terms of the video, we'll call it a day. So there we have it. We've finished the first video with James. Please let me know what you thought of it. Anything we can improve for the next video. I've listened to the video back. James's audio quality doesn't sound great. Hopefully it'll sound better on YouTube. Certainly not James's fault, I wouldn't have thought. It's just the way things come out sometimes. So if the audio quality isn't great, please do forgive us and bear with us. It might be that's how it's going to be for the entire series. If so, please just let it slide if you can. I don't think it's going to be so bad it's going to spoil anyone's viewing pleasure. Yeah, there's some guys who like things to be perfect, but please do remember, we are just enthusiastic amateurs. My skills on fixing things up aren't great, and they're never going to be great. It's not something I'm ever going to put a ton of work into. It's a free channel. You kind of get what you pay for. Hopefully the quality of the content makes up for some slight audio visual issues sometimes. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We'll be back with another one this time next week. We're going to try and release these on every Monday or Tuesday, I think, so you guys can get used to when they're coming out. So this will either come out on a Monday or Tuesday, whichever day it comes out. Hopefully we'll continue churning them out on that day of the week going forward, so you guys know when they're going to be coming. Let us know what you think. If you haven't hit the like button yet and you've got this far, I'm assuming you might have liked it, so please do hit the like button now. Please do subscribe, and we'll be back with James next week. Bye for now.